All right. Well, I suppose we should probably get started, huh? Big old thumbs up from Justin. Got it. Video being live streamed. All right. And nope, that's stop live stream, but we'll get screen one going. So to present. All righty. So Aniknap. Hello, welcome everyone. How are you doing? I'm Nicholas Schwitzer. I am the host for this event, and I'm gonna get my PowerPoint back up so I can actually see it because I don't have it up here. It's back up there. Let's see. There we go. Cool. Now I'm A-okay. All right. Hi everyone. I'm Nicholas Schwitzer, and I'll be hosting this presentation called Drawing Comics: What Happens Between the Panels. So this is a follow-up to our previous presentation done by the one and only Justin Eagle Gothier, who previously did writing comics, What Happens Between the Panels. I just realized I totally named my presentation yours. It should actually be What Happens in the Panels. We'll go with the flow. Oh, awesome. We got one person coming in. That's good. I'll just sort of vamp a little bit so we can let them catch a seat. So yeah, click on the next slide.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Sorry I'm late.
No, that's all right. As you see, we have a full house here. So welcome to the presentation. I'm Nicholas Schwitzer. We know each other, man. The presentation is Drawing Comics: What Happens in Between the Panels. And yeah, so we're going to go into it. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but can you? Well, well, you can move over. And yeah, it's a little dim. So yeah, cool. All righty. So I'm Nicholas Schwitzer. I am a graduate of the UW Stout BFA program, Entertainment Design. And I have a degree, in entertainment design, but the concentration is comics and sequential arts. And also I have a minor in English writing and literature, but that's just a little fun tag on it. Currently I work at the College of Menominee Nation's Sustainable Development Institute, where I'm their media specialist. So that explains why I have like a bunch of screens in front of me, because not only am I giving the presentation, I am also doing the live stream for it too. So actually, to make it just slightly easier, I'm going to take off this monitor because it looks like I'm using it, but I'm actually not. So I'll set that on this thing right there. And then Joe, would you mind adjusting the thing, because it totally got botched and sent to the other side. Thank you, bud. So as you can tell, this is sort of a go with the flow sort of presentation. Very loose, very much how like art is. It's just you go with it and see what happens. And just for some context, as I mentioned before, I'm the media specialist for the Sustainable Development Institute. I'm also a first descendant of the Menominee tribe of Wisconsin. And we're on I totally forgot to go on the next page, but hey, whatever, it happens. So first question, what are comics? Sort of a simple, basic thing that like every comics presentation tends to go with, but the sort of definition that is out there that has been widely used by everyone is comics. They're juxtaposed pictorial and other images in deliberate sequence intended to convey information and/or to produce an aesthetic response in the viewer. And that is from like the Grandmaster, Scott McCloud, who literally wrote this book on comics. And yeah, so this is like a great reference for like comics and comic theory and stuff. And I'll be referencing this throughout the event too. And so like that's just like a really big thing. It's like comics are just like drawings, words, and other imagery that tell a story to the viewer. And it's pretty simple. That's about it. And then of course, like I got to point out juxtapose, because it's like my favorite art word that I learned in college. It just means to place something next to another to get a contradicting effect, or contrasting, sorry. So yeah, on to the next one. Sorry if you can't see that, but I'll read it out loud. So getting into like making comics, obviously, before you can start doing the drawings, you got to have a script to like reference. And so thankfully, my buddy Justin Gothier here has wrote a bunch of pages for a comic that we're currently doing that's on the Menominee theoretical model of sustainability. And so one of the pages here is from like one of the first couple pages of our plot, and I'll read it to you. So page 11, the test plot, and it's continued. So panel 1, it's a landscape. The test plot consists of many rows of young thigh-high corn plants and are thriving. Barry, one of our characters, and it says speech. So he's about to speak. And Barry says, we guarantee vigor and wealth. Looks vigorous to me. How do you feel about it? Panel 2, a farmer squints. Barry pockets his phone and the farmer speaks. Like I said when I signed up, I'm only concerned with, and he's interrupted by Barry, yield and profit. We also guarantee compensation if you don't see a return. The farmer, he responds, let's hope that it doesn't come to that for your sake. Sort of threatening, it's really cool. Barry, I realize you've had less than positive experiences with other companies in the past. Panel 3. And over the shoulder of the farmer, so it's like the camera's back here. Barry looks out over the field. Barry, speech. But this new strain, it's off the charts resistant to pests. It has the most vigorous growth cycle I've ever seen. And the root system seems to be evolving with every generation. It's something special, this one. Panel 4, silhouettes. Barry holds his hand out to the farmer. Barry, speech. I'm giving you my personal guarantee. We won't leave you in a lurch come harvest time. Panel 5, silhouettes again. The farmer walks away, leaves Barry with an outstretched hand, and farmer, as he speaks. Tractors don't run on handshakes. Just see you fall through on your end, just see you fall through and where you can shake hands all you want with my nephew lawyer in court. Oh, so that's a pretty good scene we got there. So Justin wrote that and he separated it all out in the separate panels. And it really sucks that you can't really see that. So Justin wrote it out, and on the same page, I broke down his panel layouts to even like smaller bite-sized chunks. So through that, like this whole page, I busted up into like 2. So the first panel is just a landscape where Barry is talking about like the vigor and how good it is, and then asks the farmer how he feels about it. The second panel is the farmer starting to respond, but then Barry interrupts him. And as a result, that sort of freaks him out a little bit. It's like, hey, wait a minute. It's like, you interrupted me. I don't like your character. And so Barry's just like, trying to sell him on it. And it's like, yeah, we guarantee compensation if you don't see a return. And the farmer is just like, he's like, I can't believe you interrupted me. That's just rude. And so the farmer responds, well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. And then Barry's surprised at that comment because he's just trying to sell himself and the company that he works for, but he didn't expect that reaction. So Barry automatically starts backpedaling. Like, whoa, hey. I realize, and he's just like trying to like, help him out. And it was like, I understand where you're coming from, stuff like that. Then we get the over the shoulder. And it's just like this wide shot of Barry looking out in the field. And Barry speaks. And it's telling them about like the strain and stuff like that. And then eventually we get to the final panel on the page where Barry holds out his hand to the farmer. And then he says, I'm giving you my personal guarantee we won't leave you in a lurch come harvest time. So at the end of the page, it has like what'll happen next? And then turn the page, see what happens. So that's sort of the write-up that I have. This is, I wish I had a better thing. But so on here, after I get that all laid out, what I do then is I take these little 3x5 note cards and I take the panelage that I set out on here and then I draw it out. And so on here, I have an example of from a previous comic that I did, and I actually have them right here if anyone wants to check them out, along with the panels that I will compare them to later. Thank you very much, Justin. And the panel pages to go with it as well. Big stack of paper. Justin, that's a shame. So you should be able to see the comparison and contrast in there. So like initially, those are the initial drawings. And then for you at home watching, you can see that there's a wicked comparison where it's like, I try to stick to it, but also like you can change it up a little bit, like sometimes some panels don't work. It's very much a first draft of something. So you go into it and it's like, we'll transition and see if we have to adjust the panel or like the format or the layout within the page. So that's sort of the comparison that I'm showing right there. All right. God, I hope this works. So I also have the next process has two videos, two short videos, and I'll try to share them if they'll show up. Awesome. So this is the penciling and inking process. So after you get the first draft going, you obviously want to get on a bigger page. And the pages that tend to be used with comics are called 11 by 17 Bristol paper. So it's this really, it's not too thick, but it's thicker than your regular like printer paper. And it's really huge. It's actually two pieces of printer paper put next to each other. So it's full in half. It's like, hey, I can print off of this. And so that is what's traditionally used for comic making. And eventually scans will be made of it. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So after you get that, you have your initial pages all figured out and your paneling. Then you break it down and actually like separate it out. So I'll show this first video. Hopefully it'll come up. So this is of me doing the penciling process for the poster for this event. So as you see, it's just like me going through, taking some original plans and then just like actually detailing it, going in and drawing everything. So what you do a little bit, there was a section in here where I had some perspective going and I just used this handy dandy little ruler for it. Oh yeah, so this is just like little details of it and showing you how many times I erase, how many things I go over, and just a bunch of other things for it. But just a fun little example of the process here for penciling. Yeah, and you know, it's a good little process because here you have a little bit more free reign with the panelage where it's like, this is like, you could rip this up and start over again. Whereas this, you only get so many tries until like the pencil markings get a little locked in. So you at least can erase, but still it's pretty good. And then next up is the inking process, which tends to be a little more permanent than the previous thing. So you're actually putting ink to the page. And I'll go in more detail with this when I actually do the demo up here. But what I tend to use is a little bit of India ink and like some brushes and things and little pens, but I'll go in detail about that, but also show you all the extra work that goes there. Because the penciling is sort of the skeleton. This is actually laying out the body. So you can see a lot of the lines are getting darker and stuff. And you kind of have to move around the page because it's wet and you don't want to like smear it. And then like there's a lot more black in there and I'll explain how those happen. But yeah, so just getting that laid out and lots of quick lines that are going through and just like getting everything laid out. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so like for this, I reference like my office space a little bit, like everything around me, except I put it on here a little bit cleaner than it actually is. Yes, Jacob, you have a question.
Is the process same for digital art? Do you make like a sketch first, then use the darker lines and like Photoshop or something?
That is an excellent question, and I feel like I should have set you up for that. Oh yeah, if you guys didn't hear the question, someone in our audience just asked if the process like this is also similar to the process used for digital inking and penciling, and it really is similar. So you have a digital page that's about the same size as this, 11 by 17, separated out, and then the really cool thing about digital inking and penciling is you have a lot more control and a lot of things are not as permanent. So you get like, you know, your basic shapes out and layout and like underneath, and that's pretty much like your sketch layer right here on the actual page. And then you do another layer on top, which can make this one look more opaque and see-through. So it's not like full on distracting. And then you get your pencils in. And it's more so like sketch, like, oh, I got to figure out this line. So you're like going back and forth, trying to make sure it's right and just like sketching. And then eventually you do have your final inks where you go in and you have like whatever digital pen you want. Like you could have one that recreates the look of an actual physical one or one that's more smoother and digital. And you go in and you just like get your final lines in, make sure they're very clean. And then also you have the option to do black spotting in there, which will black out like a bunch of your areas on there. So it is very similar, but it's a lot I would say cleaner because you don't have the probability of getting ink all over yourself. So yeah, that is that video. So I think after this, I lead into the demonstration. Oh no, I got clicks on things. Oh yeah. So on to the live demonstration. So I'll actually be stopping the share on this. So that way we get screen right there. And then now I'll be using this handy dandy little phone to get this up there for you guys. So I feel like I just like aged 10 years just by the way I was like looking at my phone. I was like, oh gosh, where do I go?
This is where we get to see the specialist part.
Yep, that'd be it. Connecting. Oh, I gotta admit myself. Turn on the camera. There's two of me on the screen now. All right. Hey. Well, welcome to the club.
I am a student. Remember, this time I am a student.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. All right. So now what I'll do is I'll actually stop this video. Oh, wait, that won't make a difference, it looks like. But what I will do is I'll put this on this screen. Oh, I wonder if there's a way that I can make that. Stop video, choose virtual background pin. Aha, look at that, figured it out. So I'll just have this on screen, but if you guys actually like want to come up and like look at it since not a lot of people are here, I'll show you the process. So just gonna catch my breath real quick and also add some of this water in here and spill it, of course. Man, I was like so slick right there. It's like, oh, look at this guy's drinking the water and then he pours it in. Wow. All right. So we have the little guide that we have right here. And as you can see, I already started like doing some work on this and like getting the page set up. Now, I have to take a look at this because it is a little different than what I got on here. So that's what I mean by like, that is like, you can break the rules on that and everything. So, so a little bit of ink on there. So what I have here is a Charlie's County Market bag cut up underneath here just in case to catch any ink that falls out. So I'll keep that probably over here. Water right there. And I got these other two. So real quick, I'll go through and I'll pencil in a panel. I kind of want to get one that'll showcase a lot. I'm thinking panel 6 would probably be the best one because then I could get some background and I'll also get some black spot. So we have this and we have the basic layout. And I think from what I remember, I'm going to pull up the script so I can see what it says. Go to Drive. Comics project. Oh yeah. Pull up a chair if you need to.
I think it would be easier than standing.
All right, so panel 6. Awesome. So panel 6 is the over-the-shoulder frame. Barry looks out over the field. Barry's speech, but this is a new strain. It's off the charts, resistant to pests. It's the most vigorous growth cycle we've ever seen. And the root system seems to be evolving with every generation. Something special. So Barry's just giving a big speech to the farmer. So for this, I'll get Barry's basic form in. And he seems to be like looking around and sort of gesturing to the place. So what I'm doing here is doing a basic layout of the body, trying to get sort of the general forms going on. Every time I do a circle, I just hear this table like squeak a little bit. Oh, that's funny. All right. So right now I'm just getting like the basic body parts going. So that's Barry, and then we have a farmer, and I'm going to give him like a basic farmery shape. So like he's got a shoulder, probably, you know, like some people. And I'm going to go a little stereotypical here and say he has overalls, which, you know, nothing against overalls, you're good. But I already see that I'm drawing this too small, because if I do that, his head will be right here, but I want his head to be like up here a little bit. So got this one little Pentax white eraser. It's really good. Totally like knocks it out. Look at that. So you get the general thing. So in reality, what I want is like the farmer's head to be right here, neck right about there, shoulder dips down a little bit, and there's the rest of it. So it's a little off. We'll say about there's a little closer. Yeah, that looks good. I'll indent his little hat. So I got the general shapes in for the people. So now what I'll do is I'll go in and start adding details. So from what I remember of my character design of Barry, although I don't have my sketchbook right here with me, so I'll be ad-libbing this a little bit. I think I gave him like a fun little nose, or sort of like, I don't know, sort of like that. And then I think I gave him like some eyebrows where it's like really thick at the beginning and then it like thins out. So I'll try to get those in. Oh, but that's not for me. All right. Got his eyes, and we need to have him like sort of be like looking around. Although right now, the way I got it, it looks like he's not really looking around, but more so looking at the guy. So with the eraser, you always go in, start getting rid of it. What I'm thinking now, because I'm actually walking you through my thought process right now, and that's sort of like I'll be like saying things, and like that's sort of like how I'm thinking is. How am I thinking is? So while looking at that, it's like he's not really supposed to be looking at the farmer, he's supposed to be looking around. And we're like, oh yeah, this place looks great, you know. You don't really look at a person sort of like if Jacob were the person I would be talking to, I'd be looking at that way. It's like look at that, you know? So in reality, I should actually have like a side view with him. So that'll be pretty easy because then I don't have to draw half the face. And that's sort of like the great thing about art is like if you can find anything to make it easier for you, do it, because it saves like brain power and like also, you know, like less thinking. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm good. I don't have to do that. So now I'm drawing this guy from like the side. And so with that, like that changes a couple of things, but it's a good opportunity to draw a side profile. So he's sort of like boisterous right now. So he's probably going to have like a wide mouth going on. It's like, yeah, of course I say that, but I have a mask on my face, so you can't see exactly what I'm doing. So I'll try to recreate it on the page. So it's sort of like a little wide, got some teeth showing, a little bit of his tongue because he's talking. Now that I look at that, the bottom of his mouth is expressing something different than the top of his face. So gotta make his eyes a little wider and his eyebrow go up a little bit more. So we'll do a little like classic comic thing where it's like, you know, someone's like got like the little arch eyebrows, like the McDonald's arches. And we'll also widen up his eyes too. Oh yeah. Just that little bit, it looks like he's a, you know, like, yeah, let's get all that, you know, right? Like it's good, man. All right, so we got that. Get the bottom of the chin. I think I gave him like a little fun little like shaggy thing from Scooby-Doo. Little thing right there. So then get that, and then, oh, here's the interesting thing. So now I got to figure out the rest of the face, get his cheekbone in, and that should tell me about where his jawline is, which might not be there, but there we go. So we got his cheekbone, readjust that, make it a little bit higher. Oh yeah, that's starting to look more like a face. So from there, I can get his neck. There's a muscle that runs from the neck, from your ear to like right here. So I gotta add that in. Little fun fact right there. And then got that. Now I'm gonna give him his hair. Give him the top of his head and now give him the hair. I think since he's like a guy at work, he probably would have like a comb over going on. So like, sort of like he's suave or something. He's like, yeah, look at me. He's like, I'm trying to sell you something, but also like I'm looking good while doing it. Give him my ear. We'll connect it like there and sideburns because gotta get the guys on. All right. So now we have hair. Sort of get a close cut going. And then we'll get the back of his neck going. So since he's like facing that way, I kind of want his body a little more positioned towards the guy. So obviously like his neck will be like this, but his body will be facing a different way. So to help with that, since he's a man on the job, he'll be wearing a tie. Get that going. Jog a little tie knot, which is just like a little circle I do. Pretty simple, pretty easy. There you go. Now he's looking that way. And then tie. Remember how to draw a tie, bud. And a tie, well, that looks like it might be going down only to his belly button right now. But we'll see how that goes. Because sometimes with these sort of thinking lines, you might be judging your body like length and stuff off a little bit. So who knows? We'll see. That's good. And I just added a little bit of hatching on there to remind myself to like give himself a little bit of design on there because I want to have a simple tie. So get that going, and I'll just rough in the rest of his torso. Ah, yes, there it is. Get that going. Hey, now the guy has a shirt. And we'll add some like pens and stuff in there. So obviously I did draw the tattoo shirt. So bring it down, get it down there. There. Get the rest of the shirt in. And when it comes to like clothes folding on itself, I just sort of do like a couple of sketch marks just to like suggest like, hey, we get some like wrinklage there. So I get stuff's happening. And then actually, I think I'll steal this because a lot of like what happens with drawing is you steal from reality. So I'll have it so he's actually like rolled the sleeves up a little bit. And let's see, that's his arm. So now we're getting the forearm. Now, how do I want to do it? So like a lot of the time when I'm drawing someone, I'll do like poses of like how they're standing. So like, how would someone stand, you know? So actually, yeah, this hand. So as a result, I'll draw that hand going out and get a couple of fingers going. And so the interesting thing about the hand is surprisingly it's the same size as your face. So every once in a while you'll see someone like draw a hand and it's like really small. In reality, it should be like, if you put it on your chin, it should touch to the top of your little eyebrow section here. Normally, at least that's where the middle finger is supposed to reach. So which hand is this? That'll be the pinky finger that's out and stuff like that. And we'll get the thumb right there. So yeah, getting him. And we'll just rough in the other arm. And we'll get the sleeve going. And we'll have him like, I guess maybe point. So then pinky doing stuff and doing things. And then, well, that's not really how it works, but the pinky was right. So we'll keep that. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to like drop them. And no. Now I drew that hand a little small, so I got to make it a little bit bigger. I'm actually gonna grab this snake a little bit closer. Okay, so it's the left hand. Yes. No, I'm looking at this and I'm like, that doesn't look like how a hand should actually work. So there we go. Now we're good there. And there. Sort of gave him a fat thumb right there, but hey, it works. Just rough in a belt. And get the rest of it going. All right. and then just sort of generalize the paints. So hey, look at that. We have a character, little working man who is trying to sell something. And then I just put in like a couple of oh yeah. I'm trying to like figure it out. Yeah, there's a dude. There's a guy. That's Barry. That's the dude. So we got that guy in. And then now, as you can see, I got like a bunch of smudge marks on here because the interesting thing about drawing is a bunch of pencil ink or lead will get on your hand, which is, you know, its own thing. And I've seen some people use like another piece of paper to like draw underneath or like on top. So like they have like another sheet of paper here and just like you're drawing it. That way it doesn't get on there, but I don't know. Was never really a fan of that. But so erase it and then sort of generalize the shape of this guy. And we're going to say he's a farmer with a collar. And we'll have him look at it. So this is. So what I'm doing here is just getting the rough shape of it. And let's say he has a hat.
We got a question.
Oh, we do.
Why do you like hand drawing over digital, and do you ever mix the two?
I do. So previously we just had a, well, I'll actually answer the first question. Why do I do hand drawing over digital? Because mainly, so it's mainly the way I was taught, because in art, there is something called the old masters. And these are like the old people who like were the guys who were really good at it. So you got like Da Vinci, Michelangelo, and other Ninja Turtles who are like the old masters. What I would say are the old masters of comics, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, for David Mazzucchelli, a bunch of other people. They tend to do it this way because that's how they used to do it in comics. Like they didn't have like computers or tablets to do this. And like this is the way that I was taught.
Because this is story.
Yes, exactly.
You continue story in every square, you continue one story. When you, because I fancy the comics, when you go in your publication, you can count in this story. What happened with this is Superman? What happened with Spider-Man? What happened? Every people you mention in your comic, this is the story.
So yeah. And then as for mixing it, sometimes I do, especially with this, I tend to do digital text, like for the word bubbles and stuff like that. I tend to do that. But also I have done some digital work like within, like to make a couple of comic pages. I think I actually have one on my Instagram. I'm not sure if I can pull it up, but.
Other stuff in publicity is very good because when you put the square, it try to continue one publicity stuff to mention this is first, this is second. If the guy they have more perception. The figure is symbols, figure. Everything is more perception in your brain. Is immediately. Oh, I captured the idea. It's more difficult when you read because you more retention. But the comics, what is the promotion? The comics for the children, because it's only figures. Is immediately, oh, is relation for so many the part, the lack of so many the story they want content. This is, I love comics, the children, because content is story. No need to read.
Yep, that's all the context that you need, is just the image. And speaking of which, I've gotten a couple of things in here. So for this guy, we're going to black him out as a silhouette. And what I've just done is I put a couple X's in it. And that is a note for me to do something called black spotting, where you just put a bunch of black ink on there to just block it out. So we're just going to generalize some background. And then now we're going to go into the inking process because it is 5:39. So
Continue the story other day.
yeah, exactly. So when you do inking, first thing that I tend to do is I tend to like get the borders of the panels done. So we have, well, I have these little micron pens. There's also some Prismacolor pens at Walmart that are about like $12. are also really good. And that's what I use to like get the borders in. And what you do is just like, you know, take it, make a line, you got part of a border. That one's kind of bad because I went too fast on it. But it's supposed to be like the black thing that keeps all the ink in, and, you know, it's a border. I suppose I should actually go over a couple of parts of the panel, or at least the page. So on the page, there's these like little spaces in between the panels. That's something called the gutter, and that is where time happens. So like as you're going through, you're like panel, 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 story, story, going, going, going. And in there, it's like how much time is happening.
Now, for me, what is this? You can see this is a story.
Mhm.
What you next is for you thinking, the next story.
Mhm.
Your story. When you watch this,
Mhm.
what do you story that you next?
The farmer ends up saying that he doesn't like what Barry's selling to him, right?
Exactly.
You? What you next story? You finish this story. What you next story?
I guess like the next panel would probably be a nice like expression of the farmer.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, his reaction to
For me, I
what he's
don't
gonna
know. For me, I don't know. It's a farmer. For my story is a ghost guy.
Oh.
Find a ghost guy. I need the next story. Have more the ghost.
Yeah. So he's trying to sell a coffin to the ghost.
Ghost.
That's it.
I don't know this story. I write here. Oh, when I watch this, for me, it's a ghost guy. He is funny, maybe. Maybe they have something here, a strength here in your hands. What is strength?
Who knows?
The next story, I want to know more of the ghost guy.
All right.
This is my comic.
Can you show the audience the gutter?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was looking up there, like there. Okay. So the gutter is a space in between the two panels. So it's like this little white space. So you got the black line and then, well, this is sort of a faded line, but it's a space in there. And so what I do is I try to differentiate time in itself a little bit. So for like immediate time, I have sort of, I think it's an eighth of an inch going right there. But for sort of vertical time, so to let people know like, hey, this comes up later, I use like a quarter of an inch. So now we're gonna get into the inking of it. And what I have here is what the old masters used to use, but you don't need to have this to like do comics. You can do comics with anything, like pencil, color pencils, markers. Seeing people do it with like crayons and pastels and stuff. So you really don't need this, but this is what they use, and that's what I was trained on. So one little pointy thing is filled with ink. And well, when you put it on the page, it sort of bubbles up, and you got to watch out where you put your hand because it might accidentally smear it. So we're gonna get into it. So I tend to start on like the noses and stuff. Of course, I think this ink just dried on me, so I need to get a little bit more. Sometimes you have to like ease it out a little bit because it's like all the way up there. But once you see the black line, there we go. Oh, we're good. And so while I'll do this, there's something called line weight difference. And pretty much it's like a easy way to like showcase shadows or like where the light's hitting. So say you want to have like light come from somewhere on like a circle. The way that you do it is you have like a really thin line on top. And then on the opposing end, you push a little harder and you get a little more ink on the bottom. And then you ease your way back up. That's a horrible circle, but you still get the idea. So you can see that there's an obvious shadow line going on. Yeah, there you go. So I tend to try to do that with like every line that I do. That way it's like, hey, you know, there's a shadow going on here, right? So like under the mouth, I'm getting it there, teeth. And hey, I just totally obliterated the tongue, so I'm not going to be able to put that in. That's sort of the interesting thing about ink is wherever it lays, and you just have to roll with it. So come on, buddy. Starting to do something here where I'm getting a little bit of paper on the edge of the thing, which is called a nib. The tip of this is called a nib. And when you get a little bit of paper on there, it tends to give you like a really thick line. And actually, a lot of old artists used to actually want to get that. So they'd like scratch at paper a lot and get like a really thick line on there. And so instead of doing that every time, they just created a felt pen. So there we go. Now we're rolling. If you need something to drink, we got some lemonade in there. So yeah. So we're just getting some ink laid down. There we go. And pretty much, you just get as much on there. And once you get it, you start rolling. If I can. That's the thing. As soon as you start getting rolling, it's just like, oh, I'm not doing stuff. I have to re-dip every once in a while. And this is actually a pretty old one. I've had this, God, probably over a year, 2 years now. So.
Yeah, what pen and what ink are you using?
So this is a Croak Quill pen holder. And then the nib, I think, is a number 2. And that's the sizing for it. As for like branding, I'm not exactly sure, but because I don't remember and I haven't bought one for a while. So
What about the ink?
the ink is Indian ink. It's actually Speedball Super Black. And well, it's called India ink for a reason, because must have been way back when in India, some guy had an oil lamp and he was like trying to write, but he couldn't write. I think he had a pencil or something. I can't remember. I'm totally butchering the story and I plan on butchering the story. But so this guy couldn't write, but he had a lamp with some oil in it. And so what he did was he saw that there was a black residue being left by the oil and took it. It turns out it was just like charred, like I think it was carbon. So he took it and then put it in water and then created this ink. So as a result, he was able to write it. And since it was in India, that's, at least I think, that's probably where he got the name from. So I'm gonna just speed run this a little bit because I got to get to the black spotting thing. But yeah, so you just follow the lines that you made earlier. Try to get them going as good as you did before. Oh, we're giving this guy a thick 90s tie right here. Look at that. Actually, I really like that for his character. Get rid of that and do that. Get a couple line marks on there. So that way. Right now, what I'm doing is something called hatching, which is just like you make some quick lines to show like a difference in like either color or shading or texture or whatever. And it's just like a quick little way to like differentiate it. Oh, this guy's got shoulder. Oh, there we go. Back. There we go. Other shoulder. Other. Need more ink. Other thing. Pens. Generalize it. Get that there. Oh, and he needs to have like where his shirt goes. Ink that up. Put that there. Oh yeah. Hey, yeah, we're good. All right. So real quick, I'm going to quit on Barry a little bit. We only got part of them done, but I want to showcase a little bit of other forms of inking. And so what I'm doing right now is I want to get rid of the ink that I have in the thing so it doesn't go all over the place. So what I have is a water jar that used to be a Tostitos salsa jar. And so that's what I just use. You can use anything else. But so generally with black spotting, you want to use a couple of brushes, and it's just like painting and stuff like that. So you got big brush, and you got small brush. I think this is size 4, and this is a size covered in ink. So I'm guessing a size 0 because it's so small. And so this one you want to use to get details. This one is just you want to cover a bunch of stuff with like black ink. So since I said that I want to black spot this area, I'm going to dip this in the ink and just start like covering it, getting like sort of the general like shape of it all and just covering it in black ink. Because we wanted this guy to be a shadow, like not seeing everything, and like you don't want to see his details and stuff. And also he's a ghost that wants to be that doesn't want to purchase a coffin. Yeah, and with this, it dries a lot faster than sort of beating up on here. Because like right here, I still have a little bit of ink that's like wet. Right there, that's already starting to dry. So yeah, so got that. That's pretty much as far as I'm going to go with that area. And now we're going to get a little bit of the details in because sometimes it goes a little far. So, you know, you use this if you're like close to some lines that you want to preserve or like other stuff. But right now I'm just using this to like fill out the details. And there's still some wet ink on here that I'm like picking up and using. So super nice. Just gonna get a little bit more. And this is just sort of like a painter thing. So if you like painting, I would recommend doing this because this is pretty fun. You just get to do details in black. And what you do is just like paint in black and white. And like, so some people use either or, like they can use the pen or they can use the brush. I tend to use both because there's different benefits that come from either of them. But I've seen like people who only use brush and they come up with like some crazy stuff because you don't really have the opportunity to do some of like the shading and hatching that a pen nib will give you. But this is more like, I've seen people do just like shadow and light and just do some wicked stuff with it. So yeah, we're just going to cover up this area. And bring that down. Oh, hey, I don't want to jinx myself. But I'm going to say that I didn't even get any outside of the page or the panel. We'll just pick up some extra ink there to cover that up. All right, cool. Now we got a guy. Now I'm just going to generalize the background because it's supposed to be like corn and stuff. So we're just going to do some little lines with the black ink just to like, it's like, hey, yeah, there's like stuff in the background. I'm just generalizing the background right now.
So could I get a lot of these materials at like a local Walmart, or is there any places you recommend?
One place that I tend to get a lot of these like online from online stores. One that I would recommend is Blick Art.
Blick Art.
They they have some pretty good sales, if I do say so myself. Like they'll have like a couple going, like I know they have one at the end of summer. They probably just have one for Black Friday, but that tends to be like a place where I get most of my supplies. If not, Amazon's good. You can get a lot of stuff there. Well, yeah, Walmart, you could probably get a couple of things. I'm not sure. You can at least get like sketchbooks and stuff, and definitely like the Prismacolor version of these. But yeah, and then also there's oh, what's that place that's in Green Bay? It's an art store.
What you're talking about?
Yeah, it's either Hobby Lobby or the other one. Yeah, that's it. Blick.
Dick Blick?
Yeah, Dick Blick. It used to be called Dick Blick, but then they're like, we're 100 years old. We got to be like professional now. So
So just Blick now?
yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm like generalizing corn. It's actually looking like little mini pine trees right now, but hey, this isn't going to be a final page or anything. So we're just like, you know, and a lot of this is like, you go with the flow, wherever the ink lands is where you put it, and you just got to roll with it. And it's kind of fun. But yeah, so that's sort of like backgrounds and stuff. How are we doing on time? Oh, it's 53. All right, well, I'll just finish this, blah, blah, blah. Some lines there, A, B, C.
We had some people ask for comic book recommendations.
Like for comic books to read?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. Faith Erin Hicks always has good comic books. She's currently doing stuff for Avatar: The Last Airbender with their comic brand, but all of her stuff before that was really good. Like What Could Possibly Go Wrong is an excellent one. Brain Camp is a good one for kids. Well, I say kids, but probably more so like 13-year-olds. Yeah, she's really good. So those are a couple of books. One of my favorites is, it's not really a book, but it's a collection of Marvel Comics, Daredevil Born Again. Classic. They turned it into Daredevil Season 3. So good. What other books? Bone is a good one. I remember reading that one when I was a kid. That was probably like one of the ones that got me into making comics. Yeah, what else? I'm trying to remember. Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim's good. I'm just visualizing my bookshelf right now. Just see what's on there. Scott Pilgrim's good.
Watchmen?
Watchmen's good. I still got to finish that, but what I've read so far is really good. And I've only had the book for like 2 years, so I still got to finish it. That sort of thing. Like I start reading books and then I just don't finish them, which is unfortunate, but Oh, well, you can only consume so much media. Yeah, that's all I got on the top of my head for books recommendations.
So you mentioned Bone as an artistic inspiration. What other books inspired you?
Oh, well, let's see. There's a bunch of different things. Actually, you know what? I'm going to turn on the other camera real quick so that people don't have to keep looking at the page. If I,
Final show of it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, yo, check it out. That's the page. It's not finished, obviously. It's still in work, and I also gave up like halfway. But still, just to give you a general idea to play around with some stuff. It's pretty fun. Let's bring this dude over here if I can see where my mouse is. Where are you, bud? Hey, there you are. You're on this one. Go up, and grab, drag. Come on, buddy. Jared, what was your question again?
You spoke of Bone as like an artistic inspiration. What other books do you draw on as artistic inspiration?
So I'm just gonna do this. Calvin and Hobbes was a really good one, mainly because that's where I learned to draw birch trees. Because a lot of what Bill Larson does, he really likes drawing nature, and like that's where. Thank you very much. He really likes drawing nature, and so that's like half of what inspires Calvin and Hobbes, besides the philosophy part of it all. But yeah, like his nature is really good. I started reading something called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is a Japanese manga, and it's been around for like 50 years, I'd say. I'm probably way off. It started in the 80s. So not 50 years ago, now that I think about it. God, math. Okay. Anyways, so like that's a really good one because starting out with it, the author and artist doesn't really have a proper sense of anatomy where it's like he'll draw arms like super long. But that didn't stop him because eventually he takes a lot of reference. And I actually have a book right here, Manga in Theory and Practice by Hirohiko Araki. What he does is eventually he learns by just like looking at like Grecian statues, fashion models and stuff. And then eventually he takes that and that really inspires his drawing and stuff. And eventually he gets better at drawing people. But also like off the bat, like the guy is like incredible at drawing structures and like nature and stuff like that. Like in like the very first like book he did, like he has this amazing looking tree. It's like, I got to learn how to draw that. So I stared at the page and I was like drawing it. And eventually it's like, yeah, he's kind of got it. So like that's sort of an inspiration right there. Yeah, that's about it. Justin.
What kind of paper are you using? What kind of paper do you use?
So what I'm using is something called Bristol board, BRISTOL, and then board. It's 11 by 17. It is what the old masters, as I've been calling them, have been using for comics like ever since. And there is actually one right there. And so if that's a reference, it should look like that, but there's other ones that don't look like that, but they still have the same name. So yeah, that's what I use, and that's what I was taught to use. Any other questions?
I guess what would be some more advice for people wanting wanting to start out like comics?
Like drawing comics? Well, I say first off, read a lot of comics because you're going to absorb a lot of information and like techniques from that. Second off, make comics. Just draw like your own little stories. It doesn't have to like star characters. It could be like fan comics. It could be about you, or it even could be about your own characters. And then second off, I would recommend learning as much as you can about like any form of art, because a lot of the knowledge that I have that goes into this, I've learned from other forms of art. Like what is it? Like graphic design is where I learned like perspective and text. Life drawing, where you get to draw people, is like how I learned anatomy for the most part. This could be better. But it's definitely where I learned how to like draw people. And then painting taught me more so about color. Like for comics, because a lot of the classes I have for comics, it teaches you about the theory and the structure and some other things about it. But a lot of the outside factors of it teach you other things. So I don't know, just play around and find out, like, just figure it out. And then I would also recommend be like me and get a degree in it, because that's also another step. And I got to shout out my alma mater, UW Stout, who I got my degree of entertainment design, comics and sequential arts in, and that helped me a lot. Currently, they don't offer that degree since they swapped it to, I believe it's studio art, comics concentration. That's what I would recommend, but there's also other colleges and universities that, offer comics courses. Like I believe Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia, and then a bunch of other places. But yeah, so.
This course is a long time or short time?
I went to college for 4 years.
No, but you maybe a small course where you learning comics.
Oh,
Some
true.
stuff is basic.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you don't even have to go to a 4-year degree college, because there's a lot of resources online as well. Like you can like look up YouTube videos and they'll give you great advice as well, if college is not the path you want to take. Because sometimes it's not for everyone. And
I think for me, comics is you need to contain the story.
Mhm.
And when you draw this story, you like it, the people interested in the story, you say you comic.
True. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because if you don't like the comic you're making, other people won't as well. So you got to like really like it.
Mhm. For me, my story is the ghost God. Like God. Okay, ghost is ghost. Next time, for me, my second story is talk that this is God. What do you do?
Mhm.
They have superpower, don't have superpower. What do you do? The next step is bad or good?
Mhm.
This is my story. And I'm sure the draw. I don't know, every people they have different stories.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
So someone was just talking about how art supplies can be expensive, right?
Oh yeah.
What would you prioritize? Pen, paper,
Um.
programs? What would you prioritize?
Oh, that's good. Well, okay. So let's think about it this way. Digital art. If you were going to do digital art as a comic person, what I would recommend is getting a free digital program, such as, I'm blanking on it. It's
Adobe?
no, Adobe is like Netflix where you have to subscribe to it. GIMP is not the one that I'm thinking of. It's the other one. Oh, I'm blanking on it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold up. I'm Googling Photoshop alternative right now.
Like the Windows one that comes pre-installed.
Some software is a free.
No, Illustrator is part of it.
It is a free people that don't use the free stuff.
Clip Studio Paint.
Clips.
Clip Studio Paint. It's very similar to Photoshop, and it's free. So I would recommend getting that. And if you need something to draw on, it comes for Apple iPad, and also if you have a laptop, you can get like a little Wacom drawing pad for it. For physical comics, I would prioritize. Well, the paper is like $20, so you're paying like $1 a page. So it doesn't necessarily, like the paper doesn't have to be the thing that you get. Where it's like you can do comics in a sketchbook, you could do it in a notebook. You could even do it on these like little index cards I have. And then like for supplies, honestly, you can use like anything. You could use like a, #2 pencil or a, what's the really nice pen that Matthew uses?
G2.
Yeah, Pilot G2s. Oh, those are good. I made so many comics. Actually, you know what? One of my older comics. I actually brought some comics that I made in high school. I hope I don't get any ink on them. That's the freshman year of college. Like this comic is all done in pencil. And like you can literally do comics in anything. I got, this is the same comic. I think I got another comic that's all, yeah. I did this one, I colored it in colored pencil and stuff, and I did it with one of these pens or Pilot G2, and just, you can make comics with anything. So I guess the cheapest way to make comics would just be grabbing a notebook and a pencil or a pen and just going nuts, man. So, but if you had to pay for stuff, I'd say at least get the ink. No, don't get the ink. Get any of these pens. Get some of the paper, which is the Bristol board. That's 11 by 17. And then everyone has a ruler, so do that. And then just get a mechanical or like #2 pencil. And that should be like the basic version of like how to get comics. And that should only run you like maybe $30, I say. So, yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm literally here whenever.
Whatever, online people said Medibang paint, question mark?
Many what?
Medibang paint?
What?
It's a Medibang paint, it must be a program.
I've never heard of that.
MEDI,
MEDI.
and then space bang.
Ah,
Space paint.
it came up. Free digital painting and manga creation software. Ooh, I've never heard of this.
There you go.
Ooh, this is cool. Oh, hey, yeah. Yeah, get that too. That's got PC, iPad, iPhone, Android. Yeah, that's also a good one. Get that one. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I didn't know that one. That's cool. That's a little fun fact right there. Yeah. All right.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel, Spider-Man all the way. Spider-Man, Daredevil, the Incredible Hulk, Wolverine, every other famous one. Yeah, those guys are the bomb.
What, no
That was
Batman?
my question.
Oh, yeah. Batman's all right, but yeah. You can't, well, I mean, I was gonna say you can't go to like one franchise just for one character, but like you totally can. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I was a Marvel kid growing up, so I should have been wearing my Spider-Man shirt. I totally forgot about that. But, all right. But yeah, any other questions? Little queries, factoids, other things? No? All right. Well, yeah, I'd say that's about it. For people using Facebook, I would appreciate if you filled out our little evaluation form, let me know how I did. I'll pull it up and put it in the chat real quick. I just gotta get to the account. Yeah, because that'd be really cool. And then if you haven't registered, the link is somewhere. We CMM will really appreciate that, just so we can keep track of like how many people attend these events, and you know, it's good to know that people show up. Here, and I'll get that link to the evaluation form. Send. And come on. By the way, it's totally called a copy of writing comics evaluation form. So I totally copy and pasted what Justin had for his. I'll just toss this in the chat real quick. Comments. Oh, 52. And paste. All right, that's the should be from Sustainable. You guys can't see it because it's a link and we're in reality. So yeah. All right, let's see. And then I'll back out of here because it's probably sharing the sound. So yeah, thank you very much for coming. Make comics, read comics, do comics. It's all fun, man. Yeah, and have fun. Oh, wait, hold up. I got sponsors I gotta thank. Let me, oh God. Where is it? Did I get rid of that? Hold up. I gotta pull up this PowerPoint real quick. I got sponsors I gotta thank. Just gotta pull everyone up. I'm not gonna share the screen because hassle. But much went into our event sponsors, especially the American Indian College Fund, who funds the project that Justin and I are working under. We're making, like I mentioned before, a comic book about the Menominee theoretical model of sustainability. Super cool. This is part of the story of it. Should be out when? Sometime early next year, late spring.
First quarter of next year.
Yeah. Yeah, the first quarter of next year. I also got to thank College of Menominee Nation for the space. You know, if we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And then also SDI, because I work for them and the project is being done by them, and also everyone there is super cool. And also they helped get the grant as well. So super awesome. And got to thank all of you guys for showing up, everyone in the chat for coming, and then my partner in crime, Justin Gothier, for writing stuff and being a homie. All right, well, that's it. Much Waewaenen, and adios.